come up with your plan. And even if your plan is to buy our How to Reduce Remarketing course, popping it in, it'll simulate ideas. You'll get to-do lists. You'll get other things out of it. So be the leader of your team. That's what they're looking for. Explain how to handle rate, and then your agency will be in the top agencies in the country and Canada, because we do work there now that the border's open again. All right, today I'm here to just talk and dish about how to communicate rate to clients. So you got me, the one and only Kelly Donahue Piro, founder, owner, president, chief bottle washer at Agency Performance Partners. And this whole month, we're going to talk about rate, and maybe some more rate, because we know that for many agencies, there's not a strategy in place on how to handle rate. So when there's no strategy, what ends up happening is everybody kind of does their own thing. The team feels a little burned out. They're a little crispy. They often do what's in their value set. So for example, if somebody calls in and is upset about the rate increase that they're facing, they might think, well, if my rate went up $250, I would want X to happen. And they don't always think about maybe some of the other side items, because either the customer could be a little feisty, a little spicy, they're having a bad day, they have a lot on their plate, so they kind of want to get the person off the phone to get to some of the other things they have to do. We start spooling around. And so I want to say this very point blank to people. The idea is you as the leader need to provide your team a strategy on how to handle rate and rate increases in this marketplace. The leader is the captain of the ship, and the captain of the ship sets the course, sets the stage, and makes it known exactly what the intention is. And that means when there's troubled waters, right, we have to make hard decisions. Who are we going to reshop? Who are we not going to reshop? When we have to decide how are we going to get caught up from backlog? These are things the leader has to take the reins on and move forward in. And as they're doing that, the team respects it and follows the leader, because they don't decide right and wrong. In many agencies I'm going into right now, it's the desk decides right or wrong. And that could be hard, because if I get Holly and Holly's working on my account, she may opt to reshop me. And then I go into inspection, and then I have to do $3,000 worth of work. If I go to Betty, Betty may talk to me about telematics, and Betty might find out I had a security system and save me money, work within the current company, and keep going. And so there has to be a uniform, consistent way. And you have to talk to the team about what you're okay with losing, because we want to win harder here. And there is always going to be some breakage when there's difficult waters. And I think for so many agencies, there's this fear that sets in of, well, if we communicate rate to clients, they're going to leave. And I said, some are going to leave no matter what you do. The idea is by being proactive and controlling that, you're in such a better scenario. And I think that fear keeps creeping in, and then one thing leads to another. And instead of leading the team, we are the agencies running us, and we're scrambling and scrambling and scrambling. And so I just want to say that, because I think that there's so much opportunity when rate happens. So some agencies right now are in a mix of the rate going on, and we're growing fictitiously through rate. The team is burned out. They're having recruiters call them every day. And one thing leads to another. And it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And this is when you get burnout and the agency's running you. So instead, we say, put your head up high, communicate rate. And if some people shop and leave, they shop and leave. Some people also may not shop and leave. You don't have that crystal ball. It's always kind of like, well, you can only see what happens at the end. You don't see what happens in between that you saved, and you'll never know that number. But it goes into your values as well, of how you want to handle things. But for every independent agency I know, they say they don't want to make it about rate, but a lot of our procedures, philosophies end up being about the R word of rate. And we don't want that. So, the hard part is as reshops creep up, agencies are short staffed, and that reshop backlog keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I tell the story, I was at an agency a couple of years back before this marketplace, but it was a state called Michigan, which has been a crazy marketplace for quite some time. And the team was burned out, stressed. I don't go to the bathroom. I'm dying here. And you could tell there was a lot going on, but they also had a lot of processes and procedures that were kind of inefficient, that were bogging up a lot of time. Definitely the lowest clients were running their day, which is a problem. And so what we wanted to go through is kind of unpack it. So as I'm unpacking everything going on, I said, okay, well, how do we know how many reshops we have? And they pull out this file folder, which if anybody knows me knows, I immediately see paper in a folder. I'm like, oh, snap, dog, this is not going to be good. And it wasn't. So they had a pile, maybe like 15, 16 reshops in there. And what they did was they would reorganize the folder based on effective date, not based on when the client called in. So let's take the next one in line. What's the effect? What's the renewal date? The renewal date was 72 hours from now. I said, when did this person come in? About 45 days ago. I said, we are not going to have to, we're not going to reshop them. And they said, why? Like, well, let's just see what we can do. I was like, that person's either gone or they paid their premium. Let's go check. Did they pay their premium? They paid their premium. So not that I'm saying that that's right. They probably should have shopped and left because they called in 5 weeks ago and we just stepped on it. A lot of times this is what happens when there's no strategy, is that people create their own strategy. So I do want to say, I think that there is something that we have to do about communicating proactively. And this is where we're going to get into geeky marketing stuff. Your agency has to be involved in marketing in some way, shape, or form. Like, we look at ourselves as we're content providers. Like, we want to build these strategies, get them out to the world. And the people who feel that they're valuable and need some help, they pay us to do that. But if we don't have that content out there, and I've been blessed to take several new lead calls in the past week or two. And it's like, oh, I read your blog. One guy cited, our 2-minute rule. He's like, I remember the exact time I met agency performance partners. And he was super funny. He was like, I read your blog. We shared it in a meeting, and then the team really liked it. We kept doing your stuff and doing your stuff. I was like, that's brilliant. Like, that's amazing. That's why we do what we do. But what you have to start using in your agency are the same tools that we use that you're engaging with us on. And I say this because, like, well, who's going to listen to a podcast about insurance? They'll listen to a podcast about their community, and insurance touches everything. Now, if you've never blogged before, don't freak out. It's just literally an online article. It's very easy. It's very simple. You got to get a blog. It's great for SEO, Google, but it's a place for your team to go send articles out, right? So if somebody writes a great article about why rate is going up, well, we can use that. We can say, well, here's an article, and have outside sources, and it gives you so much credibility. So communicating that, because guess what happens in an average household on a Thursday night when their insurance premium comes in? Why did my rates go up? They go to Google. Well, imagine their insurance agent pops up. Or imagine in town, other people, that are looking for this go up, and they go, here's what you could do about it. Contact us if we're your agency. Contact us if we're not. Have a review done. And you start becoming this educational resource community-wise that automatically has trust. You can put videos in your blogs, just like we do. So if you're watching this as a podcast, we're going to take this podcast. It'll be on our podcast. You can listen to it. It'll be on our YouTube channel. It'll be in our blog, so that there's all these ways. And by the way, sometime, if in 10 years from now we're still searching, which that'll be a whole different thing. I'm sure it'll be all voice search. We won't use our fingers. Everything will be verbal. This blog might pop up because it's out there on the interwebs. So you have to be thinking about the blogging side of things as being a credible source for good, solid information in a difficult time. Email. I'm still puzzled as why we in insurance don't email market to our customers, because it's easy. You have their emails. A lot of the systems have some version of this built in, or Constant Contact's very inexpensive. I mean, we use a very robust email marketing tool because I believe in it. But if you need to just get started, even just a happy Valentine's Day, happy St. Patrick's Day, we're closed on Memorial Day. Call us about life insurance. Insurance rates are going up. Here's some things we could do about it for you. Your renewal's coming up. Call us. These are things that are just automated and so easy, and just keep your name in front of people. And I think we overcomplicated what to say and what to do. And the first one's the hardest one, right? It's your freaking first time. And then it gets easier and easier and easier. But it's an easy way. If you can't get your team to call everybody, which we'll talk about in a second, because you should get your team to call everybody, which is by far another way to go for it. Social media. I think that a lot of times we're hesitant in marketing because we just haven't done it. But there's no time like today. You can balance out so-and-so's birthday. This is going on in the community. By the way, rates are going up. Social media can have more fun. It can be more satire. You can be like somebody opening their rates and have like the Home Alone kid come out and be like, oh, these are things that get people's attention because it makes you more human and funny. But you have to be thinking about how to communicate it. So these are all broad-based blanket ways where the owner, the marketing person, can control that narrative very nicely. But here's the other thing. We see kind of 3 different models on rate and insurance. The wait and see model. And this one I'm going to be honest, pisses me off. We're going to wait to see who calls us. And those people are spicy and pissed because really we probably haven't done a great job building relationship to begin with. So in addition to being spicy and pissed, we've just done nothing that would actually move the needle forward, which is a problem. So of course they're mad and they start doing the you people thing, which is a sign there's no relationship. The only job of an insurance agent is to build a relationship. You don't actually have a product. You're a middleman for product. So you need to have a great relationship, understand that person and build their coverages and education. But we don't do that, right? Instead, we say we're going to wait and see who calls us. Because let me tell you who's going to call you. My husband, who would be a spicy 100% Italian meatball, all mad about his truck payment. And he's going to be like, you people are crooks and you're robbing me. And then he's going to go call 700 insurance agents and the whole thing's going to fall apart. The next one that we have is the shop till you drop, right? So rate goes up, there's a trigger. And now these triggers are all offset because the world's on fire and rates are going up and coverage A's are going up and everything's going up. And so everything's more expensive. So the trigger that you had 3 years ago is no longer the trigger you can use. And then I hear some agencies where it's like, I was at one last week and I was like, how do you know what to do? I was interviewing their staff, just get a feeling for everything. And they're like, well, our trigger's $53. I was like, $53 on a 12-month policy? And they're like, no, an account. I was like, oh my goodness. And, and then it comes into the whole conversation. Well, in our community, I'm like, I understand every community is different. I grew up in a very economically depressed community. I completely understand. However, bringing someone's attention to $53 rate increase in a market where most of them are going up 200 is not, we're not serving the right clientele. Those people are going to call you. It's the same people that call you every time. We need to get out ahead of some of the other people. And so the wait and see model is, okay, here we go. We're either going to just shop them at an arbitrary trigger, or we're going to call them at the arbitrary trigger. And the trigger is completely subjective all over a blanket situation. And I wanted to say to everybody, I don't believe in that one either. It's better than nothing. It's better than you can see. So if you're staging up, I get it. I totally understand why agencies do it, and I totally can understand why you'd want to know about it. But geez, do not remark it before you talk to them. What if they got the security system? What if they got the roof? What if they got Fluffy the pit bull? What if they now have a swimming pool in their backyard? What if there's a for sale sign out? There's so many other things you have to consider. You're taking old information and trying to make it new information. And if they're shopping you to other agents and they find this stuff out, it's going to be the thing that they have a coverage gap on. Because here's what happens. You sell people like this all the time by finding coverage gaps. So when you do this back to your customers, you're just mucking up the whole ecosystem. And in some ways, you're kind of hypocritical. That's not cool. Our model, of course, the one that we love so much is the proactive renewal review call. And, I know it's hard to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but if you had done this 3 years ago, your younger self would be like thanking you today, because those agencies we work with are primed. They're ready. They're open for new business because there's more quotes coming in and they have their sales process and it's lather, rinse, repeat. Then they have their renewal process. And these people have gotten renewal calls. So they call them saying, hey, Cindy, nice to hear from you again. Yeah, the rate went up. I know we talked about it. The cost of labor and everything else is going up. I see it. Maybe it's time to do that, change that deductible up. No problem. The educated customer is your best friend right now. But if you were asleep at the wheel and didn't do it, now just do it. Let's just go right on into the burning building, because there is no time like the present. Let's just do it. So if you're struggling with that and you're thinking it's going to be too hard, it's hard. Pick your heart. It's hard either way. So I think a lot of times what ends up happening a tad bit is we don't empower our team to make these calls because we have a little FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that one, what if my team doesn't know what to say? They kind of know what to say. They don't say it like a salesperson does. They don't say it with confidence. And that's why you need our rate increase script. So go to our blog, go to our blog, go to the notes, however you're watching this, go to the notes, download our free rate increase scripts. Okay. Get them to your team, get into a room, role play them. Even when your team is like, I'm not role playing, I will quit, I will cry, I will hide under the desk, I'll call out sick. Role play. It's much better to get the wiggles out in front of your friends and family at work than it is to go ahead and get it out on live on a call. So use them. That's free. That's right there. Today, you and your agency could experience rate increase greatness just by this. We also have a whole course, and this is something I'm telling you, the leaders of the agencies need a plan. The people are looking to you for a strategy. They're looking to you for solutions. They don't want to make the judgment calls on the field. They want to be told what to do. If you think about it, in a Super Bowl, all the players are making judgment calls. There's a coach, there's a team captain, and they're making plays, and they have plays that they practiced out, right? So the idea is that we keep looking at it from that perspective. So we do have a how to reduce remarketing course and how to handle rate. It's 20% off. If you go to the blog or any of our show notes, etc., 20% off the code rate increase. Get it. Put it in your team meetings. This is the best thing. Everyone's like, no one's going to watch video trading. I said they will. Give them a weekly team meeting. You pop it up, pop some popcorn, grab the workbooks that we have included, and have some conversations about rates. This, trust me, will make an impact in your agency. It will definitely make an impact. So don't shy away from it. Move towards it. Don't shy away from it. And then if you need some more help, maybe you've got people who are just really resistant, you're struggling to think about how this all works, call us, book a meeting. We'll give 15 minutes to anybody. But we have a growing business and I have to be the captain of the ship, which means I have to tell them this is what we're going to focus on. This is what we're not going to focus on. It's okay if this happens. And I think that the keys that everybody has to being successful in this marketplace is just that, is the strategy, the strategy, the strategy. So leadership, focus on a marketing strategy, use your marketing tools, hire a third-party company. We do not do that. So do not call us. That's not something I do. I did in the past. It's not my love. Okay. I love doing our own marketing. And I just have this philosophy that to market, it has to be passionate and authentic and it's hard to do that when you're hiring a company that does 700 clients at the same time. Just my 2 cents. Now, I'll say this too. Those companies that do it, if you're not doing anything, that is definitely better than nothing. Okay. So, but also pick maybe one social media channel, pick just email, just do something and work your way up. I think there's so much intimidation on marketing because it's all the things. You see these great people out there that are doing all the things, but I love to tell this story. Chris Paradis is my agent. I've known him for a long time. And I like to say, I knew Chris when Chris wasn't Chris. I knew Chris when he didn't have a blog. I knew Chris when he hired his first blogger. It started off small and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger because he's been doing it for 16 years. And so again, thinking about it from the wave of the future, doing it now is always better than doing it later. So pick just one thing this quarter if it's overwhelming. One thing will not be overwhelming. 15 things trying to keep up with the Joneses will make it overwhelming. And the people out there investing, Mark, don't want you to do that either. They're not saying do 10 things. They're saying start somewhere, pick something and go from there. And then I think the next step is, how are you going to educate your team, right? An educated team is always going to deliver the best service. They're always going to give you wow service. There's always going to be components of this that make it even better for people. So I enjoy hearing all of everybody's stories on this front, but come up with your plan. And even if your plan is to buy our How to Reduce Remarketing course, popping it in, it'll stimulate ideas. You'll get to-do lists. You'll get other things out of it. So be the leader of your team. That's what they're looking for. Explain how to handle rate. And then your agency will be in the top agencies in the country and Canada, because we do work there now that the border's open again. We'll see you soon.